Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Monday Healing Steps session here inside the Bridge to Healing community. Now, if you're new here or watching for the first time, I'm Janine Naus, your grief and trauma relief specialist. I support trauma survivors just like you, those who have carried silent pain for far too long and are now ready to reconnect with their inner voice, reclaim their power, and heal from the inside out. Now, if you're catching the replay, go ahead and type pound replay in the comments. And if you're here with me live, say hello and type pound live. I'd love to know where you're joining me from. So today's topic is one that many of us deeply resonate with because it touches a wound that often starts early and it runs deep. What happens when you've been silenced for so long that you forget your voice even matters? What happens when speaking up doesn't feel safe and staying quiet becomes how you survive? This conversation is for you if you've ever swallowed your truth, hidden your needs, or felt like your words wouldn't be believed, welcomed, or allowed. We'll explore where the silencing begins, the emotional cost of holding it all in, and what it means to begin reclaiming your voice, not just in what you say, but in who you are. So let's begin. Now, many trauma survivors learned early on that speaking up led to consequences, and you may have been ignored, shamed, punished, or gaslit when you tried to share your feelings, needs, or boundaries. And then over time, your body and nervous system adapted and learned that silence meant safety. This wasn't a conscious decision, it was a survival strategy. Your voice was not weak, it was carefully hidden. It wasn't that you didn't have anything to say, it's that the cost of saying it felt too high. And here's the thing, this survival strategy often follows you into adulthood, and you might find yourself minimizing your pain, downplaying your needs, or avoiding difficult conversations altogether. And you might second guess yourself constantly, replaying scenarios in your head where you should have spoken up, but you didn't. Now, you're not broken, you're not weak, you're not bad at communicating. You simply did what you had to do to feel safe, but your voice didn't disappear. It's still there, quiet but alive. And today I want you to know it is never too late to begin listening to it again. So, have you ever stopped yourself from saying what you needed because it felt like your words wouldn't be heard or that speaking up would make things worse? I'd love for you to go ahead and take a moment to reflect. And you can share a word or a phrase in the comments or just simply notice it quietly within yourself. So let's go ahead and keep going here. Now, when silence becomes a habit, it may feel like protection, but it also creates disconnection. And you begin to lose touch not only with your voice, but with your truth. You may find it hard to identify what you need, what you want, or how you really feel. And you might even say, I'm fine, when deep down, you're anything but. Now, this can affect your relationships, and you might go along with things that don't feel good, avoid conflict at all costs, or stay in environments that are misaligned or even harmful. And worst of all, it can erode your connection to yourself. And you may feel invisible, not just to others, but to yourself. And the longer this pattern continues, the harder it can be to trust your own voice when it finally tries to speak. But here's the beautiful truth. Silence may have been a way to survive, but it doesn't have to be the way you continue to live. When you begin to create safe space to hear yourself again, even in small, quiet ways, you begin to reclaim something sacred. So let's talk about what that looks like. Now, there was a time in my own journey when silence felt safer than speaking, And I remember being in rooms where I knew what I felt, but I couldn't get the words out. I feared judgment, rejection, and I didn't trust that my truth would be honored. And so I stayed quiet. But what I've learned and what I want you to know is this: your voice is not a weapon, it's a compass. And when you begin to follow it, even gently, even imperfectly, you begin to return to yourself. Now, for me, it started with small things: journaling what I couldn't yet say out loud, speaking up in safe spaces, practicing saying no or I'm not okay when I wanted to shrink. And the more I honored my voice, the more I realized it wasn't too loud, it wasn't too much, it was me, and it mattered. You don't need to shout to reclaim your voice, you just need to start listening. And that leads us to today's gentle practice. Now, this practice is what I call the whisper exercise, because sometimes your voice returns in a whisper before it ever becomes a roar. And here's how it works. So you want to find a quiet moment today to sit with yourself and place your hand on your heart or your throat and close your eyes and then gently ask, what truth am I holding that hasn't had space to be heard? And whisper it aloud, just to yourself, no judgment, no editing, just truth. Now it might be, I'm tired, I want to be seen, I need rest, I'm angry and I don't know why. So whatever comes through, just let it be heard. This isn't about confrontation. It isn't about, actually what it's about is connection. It's about showing your nervous system that your voice is safe with you. And you may be surprised what your heart wants to say when you finally give it space to speak. So to support this, there's a journaling prompt you can use. And then here it is. If I gave myself permission to speak, what would I say and to whom? So let me repeat that in case you'd like to write that down. If I gave myself permission to speak, what would I say and to whom? And let your answers come gently. There's no need to rush. You deserve to be heard, and it begins with hearing yourself. Now, if today's session resonated with you, if you're realizing you've been holding back your truth for far too long and want support finding your voice again, I invite you to take a gentle next step. I offer a healing connection, a no-fee clarity call. It's a 30-minute call where we can focus on one area in your life where you feel stuck, unclear, or silenced, and you'll receive compassionate support from me and one healing insight or practice you can use right away. And you'll find the link to schedule the call below this video or in the comments, and I'd be honored to connect with you there. I want to thank you for being here today. Your voice matters, your truth matters, and your healing is unfolding. One breath, one whisper, one step at a time. Looking forward to seeing you in our next session of our healing step sessions. Thank you and have a great day. Bye-bye.